Are we ready to go, Miss Miser? Let's bring Mia back.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mia, you testified earlier that Mr. Combs sexually assaulted you multiple times. Is that right?
Yes.
Did you ever want to engage in any sexual activity with Mr. Combs?
No.
Over what period of time did the sexual assaults occur?
I'm not sure the years, but they were sporadic.
Were they sporadic during your employment with Mr. Combs?
Yes.
Where was Cassie when these sexual assaults occurred?
Not there.
Did you tell her about them?
No.
Where were you the first time you remember Mr. Combs sexually assaulting you?
At the Plaza Hotel in New York for his 40th birthday.
For whose 40th birthday?
For Puff's 40th birthday.
Why were you at the Plaza Hotel?
Because I was working.
Were you Mr. Combs' personal assistant at the time?
Yes, I was very new.
Approximately how long had you been working for Mr. Combs at this point in time?
Just a few months.
How much of the hotel had Mr. Combs rented for his birthday party?
I believe it was the whole thing.
Where was Mr. Combs physically located at the party?
He had like a penthouse suite, and then the downstairs of the hotel was where the main party was, so he was going back and forth between.
Was there a time when Mr. Combs was in the penthouse?
Yes.
Did there come a time when you went to the penthouse?
Yes.
Why?
Because we had to stay within his eyesight and earshot.
When both you and Mr. Combs were in the penthouse, who else was there?
A lot of people. Malcolm, whoever was working at the time, and then other party guests, celebrities.
Was Cassie there?
No.
What did Mr. Combs do when you were in the penthouse?
At some point, he asked to speak to me in the kitchen.
After he asked you to speak to you in the kitchen, what did he do?
I guess he had everybody else clear the room, leave.
Did you end up going into the kitchen?
Yes.
Who was in the kitchen with you and Mr. Combs?
Just us.
What did Mr. Combs tell you in the kitchen?
He was saying that he noticed what a good job I was doing and that I didn't have to be nervous or scared to come to him. Because at the time, I was just going through Malcolm, the other assistant, to ask questions, or I wasn't really like going direct to Puff. And he was saying that he had noticed I was doing a great job and that like, sort of like we were going to be working closer together, so we should, things like that.
What, if anything, did Mr. Combs offer you when you were in the kitchen with him?
Then he poured us shots of vodka to cheers for his birthday.
How many shots did he give you?
I think 2.
What did you do with the shots?
I took them.
Had you been drinking earlier that night?
Not that I recall, but if so, like it wasn't like affecting me.
How did these shots that you took with Mr. Combs make you feel?
I remember thinking like that, whoa, I did not eat or something because they affected me. Like I felt like they hit me kind of hard.
How did shots normally make you feel at this point in your life?
I was in my 20s in New York. 2 shots would not have made me feel that way.
What did Mr. Combs do after you took the shots?
He was still talking, and I just remember my back. I was standing against the wall, and I just remember he was talking, and all of a sudden his face got closer. Like I remember my eyes couldn't focus on his face because it was so close. And I didn't really know what was happening. And he put his arm next to my head up against the wall and leaned in to kiss me and put his other hand up the side of my dress.
I just want to make sure I have this straight. Did Mr. Combs kiss you at that point?
Yeah.
Did you want Mr. Combs to kiss you?
No.
Did Mr. Combs put his hand up your dress?
Yes.
Did you want him to do that?
No.
Were you able to tell Mr. Combs no in that moment?
No.
Why not?
I was shocked and I froze. I didn't even process what was happening.
What is the next thing that you remember happening after Mr. Combs kissed you?
My next memory is I just remember being on a chair, in the main room in a penthouse, and coming to the chair and the sun was coming up.
When you came to, were you clothed?
Yes.
Was anyone else around?
I don't really remember. In my memory, I don't see anyone.
At this point in time, when Mr. Combs kissed you, what did you think about Mr. Combs' role?
He was my boss. He was a very powerful person. He was to me like, he's younger than my dad, but I looked up at him like an older, like adult. He was my boss, or the king, very powerful person.
Mia, earlier you said the next thing you remember is coming to on a chair in the penthouse. Do you remember how you got from the kitchen to the main penthouse?
No.
What do you mean when you say, like, you came to?
That's just my next memory.
What were your expectations about whether something like this would happen again?
I thought it would never happen again. I thought, oh my gosh, he was so drunk and I will never tell anybody. It was probably like a huge accident. And I was sort of like, I knew the confidentiality and I was just kind of like, I didn't want that to, I thought that he would have never remembered that and that it was a huge accident and I was going to act like nothing happened.
Were there other times after this incident at the Plaza Hotel in which Mr. Combs made you feel uncomfortable sexually?
Yes.
Approximately how long after his 40th birthday party was the next time you remember?
I don't know how long it was, but I remember how I felt as far as like I was still relatively new. Yeah, so I was still relatively new, but it wasn't like right after. I don't know, it could have been months.
Where were you the next time you remember this happening?
I was in New York at his apartment.
At whose apartment?
At Puff's apartment.
Why were you at Mr. Combs' apartment?
Because at the end of whenever Puff was done for the day or the night, or whenever everybody went upstairs to like drop off his bags and set him up, and I was the one with his bags.
When you got to the apartment to do that, did you see any other employees?
Downstairs outside was his driver and security.
Who from security was there?
Uncle Paulie.
What, if anything, did Uncle Paulie say to you at this time?
Objection.
Can you rephrase?
Hearsay.
Miss Miser?
Who from... It's for the effect on the listener, Your Honor.
Overruled.
What, if anything, do you remember Uncle Paulie saying to you?
He said something that made, like, me feel super uncomfortable. At first, I was going up to the apartment. I didn't think anything. And he said something like, not like a warning or like, be careful, but something like, aha, I've seen this before. It was something that like made my inner alarms go off.
Where did you go after speaking with Uncle Paulie?
I had to go upstairs with the bags.
With whose bags?
With Puff's bags.
When you went upstairs, where was Mr. Combs?
He was in the apartment.
Where in the apartment?
In the foyer.
What did Mr. Combs tell you to do?
I was just dropping off the bags, and he asked me to pull something up on the computer for him real quick.
What did you do after he asked you that?
I went into his living room, had this like U-shaped couch where that's where you would, there wasn't much space in the apartment. That's where you would basically be in. I went to the far end and pulled up whatever he asked for.
What did Mr. Combs do when you were pulling this up on your computer?
He came and sat next to me and then like leaned over me almost to like put his face in the computer, but this was like in an uncomfortable way.
Aside from when Mr. Combs had kissed you and put his hands up your dress, had he ever been that close to you?
No.
How did you feel when he was leaning over you?
There was something inside of me that was like sounded the alarm bells. Like I felt really uncomfortable, but I didn't know how to behave because I didn't want to make a big deal if it was nothing.
What did you do next?
I faked like, I said, oh, I have to go to the bathroom so bad. Like I had to pee. And I got up and like ran to the bathroom.
What happened after you went to the bathroom?
He was like, okay, well, I'll see you tomorrow. And he let me go for the night. So I thought, see, he wasn't trying to do anything. I just convinced myself that I was...
Objection.
That's overruled. Let's get a new question.
How did this incident make you feel, Mia?
When he let me go, I felt like, okay, see, like he wasn't trying to do anything. That is all in my head. That was just some silly joke that Uncle Paulie was saying. I felt crazy and felt safe again.
Mia, you mentioned earlier that Mr. Combs sexually assaulted you on multiple occasions. Where were you the next time you remember Mr. Combs sexually assaulting you?
At his 9933 Beverly Grove Drive?
That's a house in Los Angeles?
Yes.
And he was in that house approximately 2009 to 2010 from what you remember?
Yes.
Where were you in the Beverly Grove house?
The room I stayed in was upstairs in a room with bunk beds, so I slept on the bottom bunk bed.
Did you lock the door to your room?
No.
Remind the jury why not.
Objection.
It's overruled.
Why didn't you lock the door to your room, Mia?
Because I wasn't allowed to. That was his house, and you can't lock his doors.
And who did not allow you to lock your doors?
Puff.
Did there come a point in time when you woke up?
Yes.
What caused you to wake up?
The weight of a person on top of me.
Who was on top of you?
Puff.
What do you remember happening when Mr. Combs was on top of you?
I remember it was sort of like him telling you that somehow be quiet. And this just happened so fast, using like one hand to get, I guess, his hands or whatever off.
What did he do when he used that hand to get his hands undone?
He put himself inside of me.
So you said he put himself inside of you, is that right?
Yes.
Do you mean that he put his penis inside of you?
Yes.
How did you react when that happened?
I just froze. I didn't react.
How did you feel?
Terrified and confused and ashamed and scared.
Did you want to have sex with Mr. Combs?
No.
How long was this assault?
It was very quick, but felt like forever.
How did it end?
I don't remember, but I know that he didn't like leave the job unfinished. So
He wouldn't leave a job unfinished?
yeah, whenever he was done or satisfied or got what he wanted.
Is that when it would end?
Yes.
Mia, where were you the next time you remember Mr. Combs sexually assaulting you?
I was at the 9374 Beverly Crest home.
What were you doing at the Beverly Crest house?
We were like getting him ready to go to like a meeting or run out of the house. So I was on his bedroom closet floor, like putting stuff in a bag.
Who was in the bedroom closet with you?
I thought nobody, or people were always in and out, like running around, but then Puff.
Did there come a point in time when Mr. Combs came into the closet?
Yes.
What did Mr. Combs do when he got into the closet?
I wasn't paying attention. It was going so fast. But the next thing I looked up and he was like standing right in front of me, in front of my face.
And what happened when Mr. Combs was standing right in front of your face?
He had his penis out and he like grabbed my head and put it in there.
So Mr. Combs took his penis out, is that right?
Yes.
And did he grab your head and pull it toward him?
Yes.
Did he put his penis in your mouth?
Yes.
How did you react when that happened?
I was just froze. And I didn't do anything. I just let it happen.
How did you feel when Mr. Combs put his penis in your mouth?
Like trash. And scared. And ashamed and defeated. And like an idiot.
Did you want to give Mr. Combs oral sex?
No.
How long did it last?
It was very fast. Really fast.
Mia, other than what we have described so far, were there other times in which Mr. Combs sexually assaulted you?
Yes.
Sitting here today, do you remember the details of those assaults?
No.
What generally do you remember?
I just remember a feeling. Like a specific, horrible, dark, like feeling in my stomach that I would get surrounding like certain like places. But I don't remember.
Can you describe an example of a memory you have with that kind of dark feeling?
I remember one time we were flying on a private jet and everyone was asleep. Our team was asleep. And in the back between the main like area and the bathroom, there was a separate place where there was a bed that he would go to get sleep. And it was normal. If you had to go to the bathroom, you just walked through there and it was, yeah, everyone was asleep. I went to the bathroom and I remember when I opened the door that he was standing right there and like basically was trying to push me back inside, which I don't remember what happened.
Do you remember getting pushed back into the bathroom?
Yeah, I remember trying to squiggle out of it. Like, no. I would always, in order to get out of things, if I ever could, I would make it about other people that could potentially hear or see or whatever. I remember being like, no. It didn't work.
So you sometimes used other people as a distraction to get out of sexual encounters?
Yes.
How did you feel in this instance when you realized you couldn't distract Mr. Combs or squiggle out of it even when other people were around?
Like helpless. And like I've lost some layer of protection and so unsafe and just terrified.
Sitting here today, do you remember exactly what happened in the bathroom?
No.
Mia, was there ever a time in which you initiated sexual contact with Mr. Combs?
No.
Was there ever a time you told Mr. Combs you wanted to have sex with him?
No.
I think earlier you mentioned that these assaults would happen sporadically. Is that right?
Yes, there was no powdering.
When they would happen, where was Cassie?
She was not there.
Did Mr. Combs have any other girlfriends?
Yes.
Where were they in these instances?
Not there.
Were you able to predict when the sexual assaults would happen?
Never. They were always random, sporadic. It would go so oddly spaced out where I would never think that it would happen again. And the way that our dynamic was, there were no boundaries. So it wasn't weird for me to be in his room at all hours of the night or waking him up or talking to him while he's on the toilet. And it never happened in situations that would be like that or when, like during a party. No.
After an assault, what was your expectation about whether Mr. Combs would ever engage in sexual contact with you again?
I always thought like that it was the last time and that the next time I would, if there ever a next time, I would somehow be more prepared. We would have to go right back into work and there was so much going on. I never processed it. I never thought it would happen again.
What would you do after the sexual assaults occurred?
Just keep it moving. Like, keep right back to whatever I was doing right before, which was always an insane amount of work or running around.
And you mentioned that you would keep it moving. What did you mean by that?
That means just like, that could never happen. And keep on your just stay focused on whatever you were doing before. Keep working. There was no time to stop and think and reflect or anything. Just keep it moving like it never happened.
Is keep it moving a phrase that Mr. Combs would use?
Yes.
Mia, during any of these sexual assaults, was there any indication to you that Mr. Combs was on drugs?
No.
You've now described several times in which he has sexually assaulted you. Just to be very clear, during any of these incidents, did you want to engage in sexual acts with Mr. Combs?
No.
Did you actually tell him no?
No. I only tried to squiggle out of them if I could, but otherwise no.
Why didn't you tell him no?
Because I couldn't tell him no. I couldn't tell him no about a sandwich. I couldn't tell him no about anything. There was no way I could tell him no because then he would know that I thought he was doing was wrong, and then I would be a target.
What were you afraid would happen if you told Mr. Combs no with regard to sex?
That he would fire me and ruin my future and somehow twist the story into making me look like a threat?
Why were you afraid of those things?
Because I knew his power. And I knew his control over me, and I didn't want to lose everything that I worked so hard for. Or this world that was the only thing that I had anymore.
What, if anything, were you worried would happen to your job?
It would be over, and I would never work in that industry again.
What, if anything, were you worried would happen to you physically?
Somehow attacked. I didn't to die or get hurt.
You were worried about Mr. Combs physically hurting you if you told him no?
Yeah, always.
When you told him no, not just about sex?
Yes.
What, if anything, did Mr. Combs say to you about these sexual assaults?
He didn't, but he did threaten me sometimes with them.
And how would he threaten you with them?
He threatened that he was going to tell everybody, and he was going to telecast as though I had something to do with it.
As if you had something to do with it?
Yes.
How did that make you feel when he threatened to tell everyone?
like desperate and terrified and happened and the worst, scariest situation, I would have done like anything to not have it happen, like it was my fault.
Mia, when Mr. Combs was sexually assaulting you, did you tell anyone about it?
No,
Why not?
I was going to die with this. I didn't want anyone to know ever.
What, if anything, were you worried would happen if you spoke up?
I would have been silenced. I would have been punished. I would have been exiled from my, second family. I would have had a horrible reputation. I would have lost everything.
Who did you think would do those things to you?
Puff and anybody he involved?
Why did you not tell HR or chiefs of staff about the sexual assaults?
HR was only around when Puff wanted to call HR to punish you. HR was not there to protect you. But also, who's going to believe me? And this was way before Me Too. This was way before social media or mental health awareness or sexual assault, way before any of this. I just thought I would be punished. There is no way I ever told them. Plus, this is confidentiality.
Who instilled confidentiality in you?
Puff in the office?
When you were working for Mr. Combs, Mia, were there ever time that you saw other employees speak up about Mr. Combs' abuse?
Yes.
Who spoke up?
Kala Faulkner?
Remind us who Kala is.
Kala was an assistant.
Is this the same Kala Mr. Combs directed you to reach out to after he slammed Cassie's head into the bed frame?
Yes.
Did Kala speak up before or after that incident?
After.
How did you learn that Kala had spoken up about Mr. Combs?
I was told. There was an urgent phone call among people, executives. Yeah, in the office.
Objection.
It's overruled.
Were you on that call?
Yes.
What did you understand that Kala had said when she spoke up?
Hold on, Miss Miser. Can you lay a little bit more context for this call?
Mia, who generally was on this call?
I don't remember everyone, but I know it was HR at the time. I believe the chief of staff. I believe there were C-suite executives.
What is your understanding of the purpose of this call?
Was to discuss how to handle Kala.
You may proceed.
What did you understand that Kala had said when she spoke up?
She had told the new chief of staff casually that she thought that Puff had hit Cass, and then the chief of staff told, I believe, HR.
Objection.
Overruled.
Who was the chief of staff at the time?
Her name was Eureka Gillespie. She was new. I'm probably pronouncing her last name wrong.
What happened to Kala after the phone call?
She was fired.
Did Mr. Combs ever talk to you about Kala being fired?
Yes.
What did he tell you?
That if she filed a lawsuit, that I would have to get up on the stand.
And do what?
And testify everything that he told me to say, and also about an incident that had happened a month or a few months before that.
At a really high level, what had happened a few months before?
A few months before, Kala had been drinking in the office in the day and had forgotten to pay a bill of Puffs. And I was in the office getting that call, and I let her know. And she threw the wallet at me, and I was shocked. And she ended up getting aggressive and got in my face and ended up punching me in the face, and I just left. And then later, Puff punished both of us and instead of punishing her, suspended me as well and made me stay with her and help her get back on track.
Was Kala fired after this incident when she punched you?
No.
When was she fired?
After she told the chief of staff that she thought Cass was abused by Puff.
You were just talking about Mr. Combs telling you that you may have to testify against Kala. Was that the only time Mr. Combs told you you would have to testify against someone?
No.
When was the other time?
After Capricorn Clark left or was fired.
Do you remember approximately when this was?
I don't remember, but it was a few years. Sorry, I feel like it was a few years before Kala.
What did Mr. Combs tell you about testifying against Capricorn?
That if there was any sort of lawsuit, I would have to get up on the stand and defend him and say what he wanted me to say.
You would have to say what he wanted you to say?
Mm-hmm.
Did you actually have to testify?
No.
Mia, why didn't you go to the police about Mr. Combs sexually assaulting you?
I didn't even think there wasn't even an option. I didn't even think that was an option.
Had you had any interactions with the police related to Mr. Combs that gave you that belief?
Yeah, yes.
One or more than one?
More than one.
Did one of these interactions involve you specifically?
Yes.
Why don't you tell us about that?
I was driving in LA. I was speeding as fast as possible because I had to get to Puff because he was upset that it was taking me so long to get where he was, and I hadn't had time to get my license renewed, so I didn't even have a license. And I was pulled over, and I was panicking because I didn't want to get in trouble with Puff. So it was like the only time I ever name dropped, and I just said, "I'm so sorry, but please, I don't want to upset my boss." And when I told her who it was, she said the only way, she didn't believe me, and she needed proof, and in a very official way, to get him on the phone, so I did. And then the second I handed the phone, she started laughing and saying like, "Oh my God, Puff Daddy, I love you." Like, just went into this whole very excited conversation, and then she let me go.
Did you get a ticket?
Oh no.
And you mentioned that there were multiple interactions with the police. Was Mr. Combs present for one of the other interactions?
Yeah.
Who else was there?
I don't remember. It was security and a driver. I don't remember which security it was.
And what happened on that occasion?
We were pulled over for like doing something, like speeding ridiculously or driving in the shoulder or something. And the cops approached pretty aggressively. Then once they saw Puff, they were like, "Oh, my bad, yeah," and left us alone.
What city did these interactions with police occur in?
LA.
When was the first time you told someone else that Mr. Combs sexually assaulted you?
Within the past, like, year and a half, I think.
Was this before or after your first meeting with the government?
After.
Why did you not tell the government initially about the sexual assaults?
Because I didn't know that you had to tell the bad things that happened to you if nobody else saw. And I thought I could just die with it and never tell anyone because it's shameful. Shameful thing of my life.
Did you hire a lawyer when you first met with the government?
No.
At some point, did you get a lawyer to help you prepare for your testimony today?
Yes.
Did you disclose these sexual assaults to the government before or after you got a lawyer?
After.
Without getting into any discussions that you had with your lawyer, why are you talking about the sexual assaults today?
Because I have to tell the truth. The whole truth.
Objection.
Overruled.
You can answer, Mia.
Because I have to tell the truth. The whole truth and nothing but the truth. And also, I now have a moral obligation because when you're scared into silence, these things continue to happen to others, and I can't.
Objection.
Ms. Smyser, again, another question.
Do you want to be talking about the sexual assaults today, Mia?
Absolutely not.
Why not?
Because
Objection.
Overruled.
Why not, Mia?
because it is the most traumatizing, it's the worst thing and most shameful thing that ever happened to me.
Why are you testifying here today?
Objection.
Miss Smyser, I think that has been asked.
I think we can break here, Your Honor, before I move on to a new topic.
Very well. Thank you, members of the jury. We will be back here to start at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Thank you for your hard work and close consideration. As I always tell you, please do not speak with each other about the case. Do not look up anything about the case or talk to anyone about the case, and have a great night. See you here tomorrow. All rise for the jury.